Chapter 10, Part 2. Now we're going to look at capitalized interest for construction projects. Again, our rule is we have to include all costs associated with getting the tangible asset ready for its intended purpose. Now there are three approaches on what you do with the interest incurred during construction. Capitalize no interest, capitalize actual interest with modification, or capitalize all the interest. So with GAAP we have to do number 2. Now the rules. The capitalization period begins when expenditures are made and interest is being incurred, and ends when the project is complete and ready for use. The amount of interest is going to be the actual interest incurred or the avoidable interest, whichever is less. So now we're going to work through an example. So on December 31st, we borrowed $1 million for a construction project, and we made the following expenditures. We spent $360,000, which means that would be outstanding for 10 months of $360,000, 7 months of $600,000, 6 months of $1.5 million, and then December would be 1 month. So that would be what you would be looking at in terms of expenditures. And in addition, we had some other loans outstanding, and now we need to figure out how much interest should be capitalized based on our expenditures during 2018. So this is all the information we need to do our weighted average. Let me go back and take a better look at that. So now we'll go and do a weighted average. So our $360,000 expenditure would be outstanding for 10 months. So we take 10 divided by 12, so the weighted average of that is $300,000. Our next expenditure would be 7/12. Our next would be 6/12. And our last would be 1/12. So that $3,960,000, if we weigh it based on when the expenditures were made, equate to $1.5,025,000. Now we need that number because now what we're going to be able to do is figure out how much interest to capitalize based on the weighted average of those expenditures during the year, which would be the amount that the interest would be incurred on. So, construction loan interest. It was $1 million times 12%. Now you always start with that one first because that one was pulled out specifically for construction. Then we have our other loans, and we had our bonds and our other loan, 1 times 11%, 1 times 10, which gives us a total interest of $600,000. And then what we need to do is determine the weighted average of the interest on the non-construction loans. So we're going to take the $600,000 in non-construction interest and divide by the total amount of the loans, which gives us a weighted average of 10.71%. So now we have enough to figure out the interest that should be capitalized. Avoidable interest. So we have the weighted expenditures and our construction loan. So we subtract, we know our total weighted expenditures are $1,525,000. We know our construction loan is $1 million, so we subtract that out, and then we take the balance times that weighted average interest rate. And that gives us a total of $176,228 of avoidable interest. Now what we have to remember, the rule, which is we capitalize the lower of actual interest or avoidable interest. Since the avoidable interest is lower, that's the amount we're going to capitalize. Now we can do our journal entry. And we're going to do building, and that's the capitalized interest of $176,228. Interest expense would be the difference, and the total amount of interest would have been $720. And that ends this presentation on capitalized interest.